Welcome everyone to round 1 of September 25th, Star Wars Unlimited Locals Night over at Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. If you guys are looking for a place to play some Star Wars Unlimited, check out Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. Thursday night, 6 p.m., $5 entry, and you walk away with a minimum of your promo pack and a pack of the current set at the time of this recording, LOF. So here we go for round number 1. Last week we had Trilogy, and one of the decks I didn't get to play in Trilogy was Luke Data Vault, or Luke JTL Data Vault, so I had to bring him in, and then we are playing up against, that is Fisto Data Vault. I can't remember if where I placed. I think I placed second in this event. I had a very long stretch where I went second quite a lot. My tiebreakers for first were just horrible. I always somehow was slimmed out of first because of tiebreakers. If you don't know, Valkyrie Vault typically does 3 rounds and then we're done. So typically we might have 2 undefeated after 3 rounds. So tiebreakers are the way we decide who truly is undefeated. But before we jump into game number 1, let's talk about our 2 decks. Luke Data Vault, Luke JTL Data Vault, you've seen it before, everybody, is just literally ship ping. Fighters swing in, you deal damage to your opponent's base, Luke just pings stuff on the ground, and you just combine it with all your good fighter stuff. So we're just playing Turbo Space, folks. It hasn't changed much since JTL officially released. It just got a couple more fighters to play around with. And honestly, time I'm recording this voiceover of this game, Secrets of Power have basically added a few more cards, mainly Syntacast. And then on the other side, we got Fisto Data Vault. So Fisto was a leader from LOF that states on his front side that he can, of course, when you attack with a Jedi, pay 1, tap him, you can deal 2 damage to a ground unit. So it's a really nice combination. When you attack with a Jedi unit, you can deal 2 damage to a ground unit. It's much like what Luke can do, but Luke doesn't have to pay any cost to use his ping. He just needs a fighter to swing. Fisto flips for 5. He's a 1/6 that gets a +1 for each other Jedi on your board state. So your whole Fisto's whole deck is that you are just a Jedi spam strategy. That's his whole stick. And then we have Data Vault, so both sides are 60 cards. So where I am a space spam deck, Fisto over here is a Jedi spam deck. So with that said, let's jump into game number 1, and let's see if my Luke JTL Data Vault can beat Fisto Data Vault. Here we go for the first round. I'm going to start out with an Anakin's Interceptor, going with a Gunji on the ground. Once again, remember, Fisto's whole deck is just Jedi. Here, as I'm just going to claim the initiative, and then we're going to draw our 2 and then immediately get right back into it. I'm going to go dig for my initiative token as well as my Magic the Gathering spin down counter, so I have my life on it, and then we're going to resource 1 each. As a reminder, remember, a Jedi has to swing, and then Fisto can pay 1 to then tap us up to bring out. But anyway, they're going to go for a Chewbacca under the Anakin's Interceptor. That I get a +3/+3, as well as the ship cannot be destroyed or returned to my hand by enemy card abilities. I'm going to go for Luke Skywalker here to ping 1 damage on the Gunji, because I did swing with a fighter. And then we're going to go for a Point Range Reclaimer, as well as we have a Jedi Interceptor, Jedi Starfighter in the sky as well. That gets a +1 as long on attack. It gets a +1 as long as you have a Jedi, or I can ping. I can't fully remember that one. Actually, I think it can ping as long as you have a Jedi on the board, which again, Fisto is really good for that. Point Reclaimer gets a +1/+1 counter as long as he has a Jedi, as long as there is, when he's played, there's a Jedi on the board, which again, not very hard. So anyways, we're going to pay for 2. We're going to go for air superiority. As long as I control more air units than my opponent, I can then deal 4 damage to 1 unit. So I'm going to kill off the Point Reclaimer, as we see a good old Quinlan boss coming down there. Again, if he gets 6, if he has 6 or more power, he can deal 2 damage to a unit on the board state. Just a very nuisance of a card, because I think it's a 3/5, and right now I've only been able to do 1 damage. So I did put out the black 1, which again, I won't be able to get the ability of on attack, be able to on attack deal 1 damage to anything, because I don't control a Poe right now. So anyways, I'm going to swing onto the base there, and then I'm going to get hit on my base with the Quinlan. there. But again, the Quinlan doesn't have achieved that. Actually, he did achieve the 6, but again, there's no ground units or anything like that. So anyways, the Gunji's going to swing again. And then basically, we're both on this hyper aggros. I'm going to put down a Y-Wing. We're going to go for the Kit Fisto. Kit Fisto to then do 2 damage to a unit on the board. We're going to do 2 damage over to the Black Squadron there because, again, it's any unit on the board for Kit Fisto. I like Kit Fisto's front side. I just dislike Kit Fisto's backside. Anyways, we're going to go for the Red 5, and then we're going to do 1 damage to 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘. As a reminder, I flipped for 6. My opponent didn't realize it multiple times throughout all the games that Kit Fisto flips on 5, does not flip on 6. And funny enough, he does pick it up one time to read it as well to figure out if it flips for 5 or 6, and didn't even realize it flips for 6. But nonetheless, he's flipping the exact same time I'm flipping. So I'm going to go put Luke under the Red 5 here. As a reminder, when I'm under a fighter, I give it I think I give a +4 to the fighter I'm attached to. And as well, I cannot be removed by upgrade hate on my fighter. So basically, Luke cannot be removed from the fighter. So anyways, I'm going to swing at the base here, and I'm going to deal 2 damage to a damage unit, and then I could deal 3 damage to a ground unit as well. So basically, I'm just going to knock out the Gunji here, stop all the damage coming in for the swing from the Gunji, and then we're going to go for the Kit Fisto to knock out the Black 1 here, and then we're going to go for the Y-Wing. The Y-Wing deals 1 damage to the base, and then my opponent can either choose to do 2 damage to a unit or 2 damage to his base via the Gray Squadron Bomber. So a really nice little bomber there to hit some extra damage here with. So it's going to really matter. One problem I'm having is that Quinlan boss right now is a extreme danger to me because of that extra plus. So anyways, we're going to go flip for the Kit Fisto here. Again, gets a +1 for Jedi right now. So it does have Saboteur as well. So right now, it's only going to get an additional +1 here because of, I think 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘's a Jedi as well. I forget. But nonetheless, it's going to swing in there for at least 3 damage points right now. Because again, it does get that +1, which is very nice. So anyways, we're going to swing in for the Anakin's Interceptor. It does get the extra damage point on there because my base is now damaged. But the problem that I see right now is, of course, the Quinlan boss that is swinging for 6 damage. So I'm just going to pass that one up to my opponent here, and I'm just going to scoop that one up. As I show, I have a Fang Fire. I don't really have a way to deal with a Quinlan boss. And Quinlan boss, with my opponent taking initiative, is able to knock out my base quickly. So with that said, it's time to move to game number 2. Here we go, folks, for game number 2. I'm going to start off with a Gray Squadron Y-Wing. And then we're going to go for, I believe that is an Audi. An Audi at 2-4 that every time I play an event, I have to pay, I get pinged 1 on damage onto my base. A really good card that gets very specific strategies that like to play a lot of events from their thing. As my camera is starting to lose out the focus here. Anyways, we're going to go for the Y-Wing effect as well. Now, 2 more damage has to go to the base or to a unit. We're going to swing for 2 from the Audi as my camera refocuses. We're going to go for the 1 ping there because I did swing with a fighter, and then we're going to go for the Jedi Starfighter, then we're going to go for Anakin's Interceptor, and then we're going to pay the 1 with Kit Fisto and deal 2 damage to a unit on the board. It looks like we're going to go for the Anakin's Interceptor here to make sure that it just gets killed off here. I'm just going to claim the initiative here, and then we're just going to quickly pass right now. Again, the Interceptor is a pretty dangerous fighter, especially against 2 1-1s where nothing really can kill it straight off the board, unlike last time where I had able to hook a Chewbacca under it and then deal with it. So basically, I'm running quite interesting right now what we want to do here. I still have the Audi, and I still have to deal with that Starfighter that is on the board, especially getting its on-attack skill, because they do control another Jedi unit on the board. So I'm just kind of figuring out what I want to do. I have an open fire. I have air superiority. I'm just going to go for the resistance Blue Squadron that allows me to deal 3 damage to a unit because of the combination. So I'm going to get to go to either the ground or to the ground or space here. So anyways, I'm going to do it to the Starfighter, because if he decides to swing the Starfighter into something for its on attack skill, it does mean it has to mark itself off. We're going to go for the Y-Wing to ping then the 3 damage again off of the base because again of its effect. Anyways, we're going to swing for an Audi. I don't have anything to do. I'm just going to ping once again 1 more, just slowly ping my opponent to death here. But again, they can pay the 1 here. Looks like they're just going to go for the straightforward. They're going to put down another Quinlan boss and threaten me with another Quinlan boss, which again, a really painful card there, especially if it got 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘 again, which gives it that 6. So it has its own attack skill, which again is very annoying. But again, it only goes after the ground. Can't go after my space right now. So anyways, we're still in this game, don't get me wrong. I do have air superiority in my hand, which is very good. That does mean I can go for air superiority onto the Quinlan boss and then be able to deal damage to the Quinlan boss. Here, as I'm going to go for the Y-Wing to deal 1 again, and then we're going to deal 2 damage to Quinlan boss. That's kind of what I was hoping for. And then we're going to go for the 3 damage onto the base with the Quinlan boss here. And I'm going to go for air superiority. We're going to knock out Quinlan boss off the battlefield here because I do 4 damage since I control more air units than my opponent. Really good card, especially when you are in a strategy that's just spams air bodies all over the place. We're going to go for one more ping onto Adi there with Luke. That Adi only has 1 health point left. With thanks to Luke Skywalker. As an Anakin interceptor is going to come down on the 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘 Fisto side, which I believe also has the Jedi trait for some strange reason. But again, it is Anakin's interceptor, and Jedi were flying the E-2s back in the day, the only people that could fly. And we're going to go for a Fang fighter, which pretty much is completely pointless in this strategy because Luke Skywalker cannot be upgrade hated, which is probably where JTL leaders all should have been, was they couldn't be upgrade hated off of the battlefield. Why Luke Skywalker is the only one that can't be upgrade hated is going to be always beyond me. Anyways, we of course are going to decide to go for the open fire. We're just going to murk off Anakin's interceptor just so I don't have to deal with it. And my opponent is going to take the initiative here. Again, he could have flipped his good old Kit Fisto this turn because we were both at 5 resources. So that does mean that Kit Fisto could flip again. My opponent didn't even realize that his Kit Fisto actually flips on 5 and doesn't actually technically should have been flipping 1 turn earlier than twice he's flipped them. Because I will say this is probably going to be will be going into a game number 3. So my opponent all 3 games decide to flip on 6 instead of 5. Not saying you have to always flip on the turn that your leader can always flip on. It's better sometimes to be a little safer and flip on the later stages of turns, as we see for the smuggle out of the timely intervention. Then we're going to swing in and we're going to deal 2 damage onto, of course, my Gray Squadron Y-Wing as we go for the play of Red Squadron. Anyways, we're going to go for 3-3. We're just going to knock out the good old Fang fighter there. We're going to swing 2 more, and then I'm going to go for Luke Skywalker to kill off the Adi off the board. I'm using the ping because I did swing with a fighter. We're going to go for killing off my fighter, just making sure I don't have a fighter on the board to flip over for Luke. And then we're immediately going to go for Black 1, and then I'm going to be able to at least flip over Luke, attaching it to Black 1 here. Because I can still technically do that. So anyways, we're going to go for the R2 just to protect it. And then I'm going to take 1 damage to the face here. Sorry, Red 5 is not a Jedi unit in any way. So I didn't flip over Luke to attach it to Black 1, even though I technically probably should have. But anyways, we're going to attach now to Luke Skywalker to Black 1. Remember, the only upgrade that could be removed from Black 1 here is the R2D2 off of it. So anyways, we're going to go for 3 attack from 3 damage from Red 5. Anyways, we're going to swing at my opponent with a whole bunch of damage here. Remember, Black 1 does get an extra +1 from it as well. And so I did totally forget to do the 3 damage points that I should have been sending. So anyways, we're also going to send the 3 damage points over at the Red 5. I could have sent it at Kit Fisto, really, if I'm really thinking about it, and I could have murked Kit Fisto in 2 turns because of Luke's ability to swing for 3 damage. As we see a U-Wing on the Kit Fisto side of it, paying 7 to then bring out cost 7 or less amount of units from my opponent's hand here. Again, I'm running still 6 energy here. I did not decide to resources. We see the red Kit Fisto from Twilight Republic coming down to the board. Anyways, we're going to go for 3 here, and we're immediately going to be able to go for the blue leader to then deal 5 damage back to Kit Fisto, because I'm going to pay D2 to bring it down, and then ambush it into Kit Fisto here, being able to remove it. I would think that maybe it would have been a little better, possibly, to remove Kit Fisto that full turn there, if I really talk about it, using Luke Skywalker to hit 3 damage onto Kit Fisto, and then removing Kit Fisto with the blue squadron. I think that could have saved me a little bit of damage threshold here. I'm just going to, and then we're just going to, I think I should have claimed the initiative there. There's talk whether or not I did get more cards. I'm deciding I'm not going to go for the resources turn. Again, I know my opponent is resourcing more cards than I am, but again, I just got Kit Fisto's Ethan Spy. I got a Chewbacca in hand. So anyways, we're going to swing a whole bunch more damage. We're going to murk off the Kit Fisto leader, just removing him from the board stage just so I don't have to worry about it here. And then basically dealing a whole bunch of damage there, because again, the black one is technically on 3, plus 1 more for the R2, plus the 4 from the Luke Skywalker. So basically, my opponent is basically on a down hip slope, because I do have the 5 coming off them as well from that blue leader that's down on the board right now. We do see that they have an Obi-Wan Kenobi that they could then create a Sentinel with, as well as another Adi, and as well as another U-Wing reinforcements. Again, to look at the top 10 cards and then play anything with 7 cost or less. We're going to go for the Kit Fisto at 7 at my base, which is pretty painful. Then we're going to pay for the 3. We're going to put the Chewbacca under the blue squadron. That will have to prompt out the Obi-Wan Kenobi trigger coming out as well here to immediately be able to protect myself. This is getting pretty tight here, folks, because of the fact that I do have the 7 damage points here on my body. basically my opponent is at 26. I am at 27. I'm just going to claim the initiative here. I believe I had the game right then and there, thanks to the all that. So my opponent was determining whether or not they would rather should have gone into the U-Wing reinforcements or anything like that. Again, maybe I would have gotten lucky and waited one more turn. I could have maybe just spammed out this game right here. But again, the problem is the Kit Fisto automatically wins. But nonetheless, I do have the 3, 4, and then this is 8. So that will technically kill him off there. Because again, we're at 26. 4 more puts him up to 30. That basically will 4 off of that, 4 more damage there. So it basically came down to this. Luke Skywalker was able to give me the win. So with that said, we got to go to that all-important game number 3. Now, one thing I'd like to point out before we move into game number 3, not only are both my opponent on the data vault, we're both also running showcase leaders. So I just wanted to point that out as we move into game number 3. I have finished up my resourcing. My opponent is just figuring out what exactly they want to resource. So this will be it, folks. What exactly do we all need to do here as we see, ooh, that's a pretty interesting tech choice right there. I don't think they sided. I can't remember if they did side or not. But that is a very interesting tech choice to use the light speed there. So anyways, we're going to go for the Anakin's Interceptor and then the A-Wing, and my opponent is going to claim the initiative. Unfortunately, that A-Wing is going to die here. Actually, no, I forgot. Anakin's Interceptor only does 2 damage back. The A-Wing technically will still survive here. So anyways, we're going to go for the A-Wing, going to go for the swing. We're going to go for Bounty Hunter's Quarry under the Anakin's Interceptor. Because it is actually a unique, I will be able to search the top 10 cards in my deck and then find a unit with it. And then we're going to merc off that. I'm going to go for my bounty. I'm going to look at the top 10 cards. I can play a unit where it costs 3 or less out of my hand here. I got a lot of good things in there. We saw black ones, which by the way, I did because of the Poe Dameron back in the day with when I was doing when I was prepping for the PQ where I took Poe Dameron, I basically decided to go get all the prestige arts of Black 1. So I got that one. As we put out the, of course, Sabine's Masterpiece, there was, of course, I could have put out Red 5. There was talk about I could have bought Black Squadron. But I decided the Sabine's Masterpiece was pretty good here, especially because if I kept that red body up, I could do 1 extra damage to my opponent or 1 extra damage to a unit. There, which would have been pretty nice. But nonetheless, this is still a pretty good unit because if I could get either a red or green unit onto the board, I'm pretty dangerous here. So I'm just going to go bring out the blue squadron. I'm just going to ignore its ambush altogether because I just want a green unit out here to start triggering off Sabine's TIE Fighter. Anyways, we're going to go for Sabine's TIE Fighter, dealing the 4 damage to the base because I'm going to give it the extra +1. And then we see a Quinlan boss down on the ground as well. I'm going to pink 1 on Quinlan boss. I just need to get that thing off the board once again because for some other reason, Quinlan boss is my enemy in this game state. He's just so big and annoying at times that it's just hard to get rid of him. Anyways, we're starting to get the sky into my control once again here. Again, we're going to go for, ooh, no, looks like a lightsaber. We're going to go for Poe Dameron as well. That's a really good way to deal with Quinlan boss here. We're going to then swing a whole lot of damage because we do get the +3. And then he does get his own additional on attack skill as well. So I'm up to 13 damage. We're going to go for another Sabine's TIE Fighter. I do get to ping 1 thing for 1 damage, as well as I do get to bring another point. So we're going to ping 1 on the Quinlan boss here, just doing 1 damage point there. That actually should have only been 1 from the Sabine's TIE Fighter there. So there were only 2. So I did correct my opponent on that. He does not do 2 damage. Sabine's TIE Fighter does not do 3 damage. So anyways, we're just going to ping another damage point on the Quinlan there because I'm just trying to get it so that Poe Dameron can kill him off. Because my opponent does 1 thing here. I immediately get the Poe Dameron trigger. So that means I could technically pitch 2 cards on my hand and kill the Quinlan boss here. Or all that. So anyways, we're just going to go for the end game here. I think my opponent took the initiative. I swing with the blue leader as my last attack. They just know that I'm going to swing with that Poe Dameron. That's the whole reason why I have him. Is that I'm going to attempt to swing, remove the upgrade, and I can pitch 2 cards out of my hand and technically kill the Quinlan boss and technically kill the Audi as well because I'm up to Poe Dameron. You could pitch 3 cards out of your hand and do 1 of 3 effects only once per turn. Make your opponent discard a card, remove an upgrade, and deal 2 damage to a unit or your opponent's base. So basically, in essence, I can kill off this Quinlan here very quick, as the Quinlan is going to go for the attack here, as I do some quick math in my head here, as we have to go for the 7. We're going to go for the attack on the Poe Dameron. I am deciding on what exactly I want to do here, because we're going to go for the Audi here, and I am going to pitch at least 2 here. So, yep, I am going to remove the upgrade, kill off the Quinlan, and then we're going to kill off the Audi, taking 2 back from the damage. Exactly what I said I was going to do there just for you all. But anyways, we're going to go for another Quinlan. Anyways, we're then going to swing for 3 on the base here because I do have the ability to... I don't think we can flip either. I know at least Kit Fisto can flip. Anyways, we're going to put on an R2 under the Quinlan's, under the Sabine's TIE Fighter, and then we're going to put under the TIE Fighter the Luke Skywalker here because, again, the TIE Fighter is a fighter. And then we're going to swing in for 3 3 damage because the Jedi Interceptor does have the Jedi tag, so it will be 3 damage here. The problem is I'm at this point where I'm dangerously almost dead. So anyways, we're going to swing again. We're then going to be able to deal a damage to our opponent's base. Then we're going to be able to ping, hit the, give ourselves an experience. So we're going to give ourselves another experience. This Sabine's TIE Fighter is biased, by the way. We're going to ping 1 damage on Quinlan, and then we're going to be able to ping another 3 onto Quinlan, and then we'll be able to then do a whole bunch of damage here. So all of them we're going to be talking about it. So I have 6 damage on Sabine's TIE Fighter, plus the 1 of that, and then plus the 4 of that. So it basically is a massive amount of damage. So basically, then we're going to go for the Y-Wing, and then we're going to draw 2. I can't resource anything here. I do basically have a survivability here, but it will really matter on what my opponent wants to do. Because right now I'm not dead because the Quinlan nor the Kit Fisto can technically kill me off here because neither of them will be able to hit the necessary threshold for me to win here. The Bright Hope is a nuisance object, but that does mean I can easily just do the Poe Dameron once again, where I can swing Poe Dameron over Kit Fisto and then pitch a card and kill off the Quinlan boss here, and then basically reset the board state to a point that where I'm basically I'm not overly hurt on anything as well. So basically, there's nothing. It really is an interesting aspect because again, I could deal 3 damage also from the space as well from the fighter. So that is something to really think about here. As we're going to go for the Bright Hope again. Once again, the Bright Hope, even if I swung it, I'm going to go after the Kit Fisto. I'm going to pitch a card here. I'm going to pitch the A-Wing. I'm just going to do the remaining 2 damage. I'm going to take back 2 here because again on the attack, the trigger of Poe will go first, killing Quinlan, putting Kit Fisto down to 2 damage points. Anyways, we're going to go for the 1 damage point from that, and then we're going to ping 1 damage onto my Blue Squadron here. So anyways, we're just going to officially murk off the fullness of the here. So I'm just kind of deciding on what I want to do. So I'm going to do the 1 damage onto his fighter, and then I'm going to basically use Luke to kill that off, and then take the 2 damage from the Bright Hope here, and then basically just reset my opponent here, as basically my entire board state is impossible, because I do have the 3 indirect damage off of the Red Squadron, I do have the Blue Squadron that could swing, and I do have the Poe Dameron on the ground, and as you can see, they do have nothing they can really do this turn here. So anyways, we're going to go for the Blue Squadron. We're basically going to go for 4 damage here from this attack because of, again, the Y-Wing does have 3 indirect damage it has to go for, and then that is the game right then and there, as we see that there is an Obi-Wan Kenobi that could have potentially won it, but again, they'd have to play it. I easily would just claim the initiative and swing again with a big Luke Skywalker, and then or I could swing Poe at it and then kill it off with Poe and then pitch another card. I did have air superiority, which is pretty nice there, because I could have done, if they played it, I could have air superiority to deal 3 damage to it. Even then, I would survive with 1 point left on my base, so even this wouldn't have been enough, because again, the sky was coming out of range. But nonetheless, like I said, my opponent did decide to be a little late on flipping over Kit Fisto, but there's nothing ever wrong with flipping your leader later in the game than earlier in the game. There's always a debate of when exactly do you flip your leader. Do you flip it immediately once you hit the threshold? Do you wait a little while to flip it? For some leaders, you may not flip until you're in a winning game state to try to win the game because of how weak they are or how quick they are. Like, for instance, Cal Kestis usually always flips on 4, but he's always at the danger point of dying to something. So there's always that as well. But nonetheless, it was a really good game. It was a close game. It had to go 3 games, all of that. But again, the air superiority of Luke Skywalker beat out the Jedi superiority of Kit Fisto. But I want your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Have you guys checked out Luke JTL Data Vault or either Kit Fisto Data Vault? What are your thoughts overall on these tribal style decks of fighters and Jedi? What are your thoughts on them moving forward into the SEC meta? Because at the time of this recording, we are currently in the SEC meta. What are your thoughts overall of them all? I think Luke Skywalker is still going to be a very viable strategy in the current meta, especially with 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘. But let me know all your thoughts down in the comments, as well as anything else we missed in the game. And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you next time on Model Dragons TCG.